And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the world. It is I, John D, aka Too Much, and
Kanika,
aka
do.
And we are doing Too Much podcast. Welcome back again, because this journey that she and I are on is really exciting, and I am really excited to share our journey with you guys, because walking blindly is a tough job in any kind of position of life, whether you're single or in a relationship. But hopefully some of the information we give you and share can help you to your success in whatever you're trying to do. But how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you. You?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I really am. Today I wanted to ask you, what is it that you would want your kids to have that you didn't have as a child, and that you are trying to? Well, I'll tell you what I want them to have, and then you come up and maybe you'll have a better question. But I want them to be able to not ever have a fear of asking us any type of question. Like, if they have curiosity of anything, I don't want them to act on it without seeking counsel. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the only things that I can really recall asking for counsel from my parents. Do you remember what I told you? Well, I didn't seek counsel. I was trying to get
permission to kiss.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And, I still look back and think it wasn't even trying to be responsible. It was more so I didn't want to get a whooping because my sister was going to tell on me. Mm-hmm. But I don't want them to ever believe that their friends know more than we do. And even though they may know things that we don't know, mm-hmm. I think it's okay to run it by us to make sure that, they're making a sound decision with whatever they're doing. Mm-hmm. So whatever that question is, that's what I was going to ask you. Is it something that as a child you wish that you could make sure that they have that you didn't have?
Yeah. I want them to be confident in asking us for things that they feel they need or that they want. Like, they don't want excessive things or what have you. But when I was growing up, I felt like generally I could talk to my mom about anything. There were some things that I did that I was really afraid, but I ended up talking to her about anyway. Well, my mom. But I remember there were things I wanted to do, like places I wanted to go. And I had this perception that I didn't want to bother my mom with asking her for money to do things. I'd be okay with just being at home or not having that experience. And I don't want Day and Dallas to try to protect us financially and lose out on experiences that I would want them to have. Later on, I had conversations with my mom about it. And I was like, yeah, I didn't ask you about that because I didn't want to, use your money or waste your money, ask you for. She was like, that wouldn't have been, you would have never known if you didn't ask me. And who's to say I would have felt like that was a waste? You know what I'm saying? So, Dallas, sometimes when I talk to him, he'll say stuff like, when we were in an apartment, he told me he thought we were poor. Mm-hmm. So he really wasn't asking for anything, because he was like, why else would you live in an apartment? And I was like, well, when you're trying to figure out, a house is a really big purchase. So you don't want to just get in one. You want to know that it's the one you want. And I said, so this is like a transition place where I can easily get in and get out. And so there were things that his perception of where we were financially impacted what he felt like he could talk to me about. Not that he wanted anything in particular, but when I heard that conversation and I think about what he does, like we'll go places and I'll be like, do you want this? And he'll be like, we don't need to spend that much money. Or I don't want you to feel like you need to spend money on me. I don't have to have that. And I have to say to him, when I offer something, I know where my financial place is. So anything I offer, it's because I can give it to you and I don't have to think, I won't be hurt by it at all. So I don't want you to think for me. I really want you to be able to say, these are some things that I would like to do.
Yeah.
Is that something that we can do? Rather than trying to keep yourself from actually doing something you want because you think, it might be something that we can't handle, which I don't think there's anything they've ever asked that I have to say, no, we can't do that. But I know that growing up, I had that idea. My mom was like, who gave you that idea?
Yeah, so
I don't necessarily know who.
I wanted to ask you that, like, you said you don't want your kids to have it, but it's apparent that at least one of them has it.
Yeah.
So how did you get it?
I don't know. I guess I just figured we had everything we needed. Maybe my mom just instilled that in us. You have what you need. And so if it was something that wasn't really what I needed.
I don't think that's it though, because we don't say that to them.
We don't.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. What's
saying with me.
Oh yeah, no, I get
with
that.
Them, I think that it's number one, they didn't grow up like we did, like with commercials that push you to want. And so I think that there's less messaging of overconsumption of things for them.
But you didn't do it either, and you grew up with the commercials.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I didn't have to have conversations with Day in Dallas about, well, is that something you need? Like, you don't need that. I don't think I've ever had to have that conversation. I just think they naturally are just not into overconsumption. Like, it's just what they want.
Did your mother tell you didn't need something? Because
I don't know. I don't know where I got the message from. I know that I thought about my mom and that she worked a lot. She worked a 9 to 5. It wasn't like she did back, she was working 2 or 3 jobs. But at the same time, I felt like she worked, she took care of us, and it's no point in being like off the charts with a bunch of stuff. It just wasn't necessary, I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want them to, don't count my coins. Tell me what it is you want, and you let me decide or figure out what I can make happen for you. That's what I want. I don't want them to hold back thinking they know or that they're sparing me or you on anything. Yeah. Because, they might miss out on things that they want to do, and it's nothing like, well, sometimes there are times where they'll say, well, I wanted that, but it's really not necessary. And to me, I'll be like, oh, I'll get it. It's nothing. But I don't know. Yeah. I just don't want them to miss out on things because they're afraid of inconveniencing or taking up money or, I don't want them to do that.
Growing up poor, you learn to not ask after a certain age. And I was just thinking like I couldn't get anything. Like it had to be a holiday, like my birthday or Christmas. Mm-hmm. And it's rare that I was going to actually get what I actually requested. Mm-hmm. And I think as I got older, I just didn't ask for anything, but just sitting over here, I don't give my father credit. He bought my class ring. It was $386. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea he was going to do it. Look, I was working then, and he said, I'll get that for you. And it was junior year, so it wasn't even senior year. We get our class rings in our junior year. And he got it for me. And, I was like, I said thank you, but looking back, I didn't thank him enough because just looking at how I grew up, I can tell you certain things. My dad bought me that ring. He bought me some Jordans my freshman year for my birthday. I couldn't believe it. That was I couldn't. He bought me a pair of shoes. He bought me the Bo Jacksons in 8th grade because I made the basketball team. But overall, like the messaging before, don't ask for anything. But I guess he offered things that I didn't think that was even going to be an option. Because he was like, I'm not spending no. Look, after 5th grade, I think my shoe size went to a 6 or a 6.5. It was just an adult size. Mm-hmm. In 5th grade, it did. Because I remember buying a pair of, this is how shallow-minded, but there was a pair of shoes. I don't want to give anybody shout outs, but remember it's the preppy shoes that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. You know that they were different. Mm-hmm. I wore those shoes in
really?
in 5th grade. But I don't. Those were not the shoes I wanted. I wanted. It was what I told you. Some more Jordans.
Okay.
But my shoe size was bigger, so it was no longer. It was $45 for a 6 or a 5.5. Yeah,
really?
For some Jordans then.
Wow.
And when my size went up, the shoe went to $100.
Oh.
So it was no longer an option.
Yeah.
So I bought those preppy shoes, and guess what I do? Telling everybody, yep, these is $50. They cost more than Jordans. Because if I would have, they would have been 45. But in my head, because nobody was really wearing those shoes in elementary school. Mm-hmm. Those were like a little older kid shoe, like, you know, and I just remember like that was when I remember I couldn't, any shoes that I wanted, he was like $50 with the max. I had to come up with the rest of it. And again, shoes were $100, the shoes that I wanted. So it was like I had to make something happen. But, you know, like you said, the kids, when recently Dallas picked out a pair of boots, some really nice boots, and he thought they were too expensive. And I couldn't remember what they were. So I told him, and what's so crazy about it, we had like a gift card for 120 of it. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, show me those boots so I can go and get them for you. And these boots now are $80. And I'm like, these aren't the same boots, are they? He was like, don't they look the same? They may have looked the same, but they were definitely different. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why are you counting our coins? He was like, I just feel like we don't have to do that. I was like, but don't you like these boots? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, let us determine if we can do it. So I definitely understand, but I have no idea where it comes from, because I feel like they're very privileged and they don't take advantage of us because we can. But at the same time, like you said, I don't want them to miss opportunities in their childhood of being able to have that experience of anything. Mm-hmm. And looking back and like, because, that one item can change a person's confidence or self-esteem. Like, oh, I'm fresh in these, or I really feel. But if you don't ask, you may not get that. And, being that they're as introverted as they are, I would prefer them to ask so that we can give them those moments. Mm-hmm. But hopefully, what do you think we could do to increase their level of engagement when it comes to things that they want?
I don't know.
Because I feel like this is one of those things where, we're discussing on how we can become better parents and also increase their quality of childhood. And I feel like trying to change a habit that we don't even know we created is like, what is the source of it all? And I even asked him, I was like, where did you get that from? And he was like, I don't know. But I don't know if he actually put any thought in it. He just like get me out of his face.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to, and I don't necessarily know if anybody really wants to undo the way that they look at things, but for fear of opening a floodgate. But I don't think we will, just off of the strength of their personalities.
Well, I know that if they did do that, I can say no.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. The worst that could happen is somebody says no. But I don't know how to do that. All I know is I kind of just watch their body language when there are certain things that they like that I can see. And then I'm just like, grab that, get that. And in most cases, like, they don't have a problem. They will be like, oh, so I'm about to do this. Like, she won't go off the chain. One time I told her she could go online, send me some pictures of some sweaters. She wanted to buy some sweaters for school. And I was like, send me the pictures of the sweaters you want. She sent me three sweaters. So it's like, Day doesn't have a problem spending. However, she's not going to go over the top. Even this weekend. So
that's relative though, going over the top.
Yeah. But in my head, it's like, she didn't go on like a $300 shop. It was like $60. You know what I'm saying? I think I appreciate that they are sensible with prices. But I don't really know how to undo it. Like with Dallas, in a lot of cases, I end up pushing him. Like I'll be like, Dallas, you like this? And he'll be like, yeah, it's okay. And I was like, you want to get it? You know, and I sound like, oh, it's easy. You want it? And then a lot of times he'll say no in the beginning. And I think I was telling you how I asked him a couple more times, and you were like, why do you do that? Like, don't continue to push, let him.
And I want to finish that thought, because I just thought about something that maybe I'm doing it.
Yeah, and so I was just saying to him, I was like, if you want it, it's nothing. I always say it's nothing, because I want them to feel like, oh, you know, because I feel like I can err on the side of doing that because they're in the practice of just being more practical about what they want. And another thing is I'll say, like, or if it's like over the top, like they wanted this cabinet that was $250 for her room. I said, do you want to use your money? And
no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Wait. And then I initially was going to pay for it, right?
No, remember,
yeah,
she said
she went off on me because I took too long to go buy the cabinet she wanted.
No, I thought that you didn't say could she use her money, and she said she would have used her money, but the cabinet was gone. You didn't give her the option of using her money. She was like, she would have used it. She
would have. So when I asked her, like, we went looking for another cabinet. That cabinet was gone. And I said, Day, how much did you really like? I didn't like the cabinet. I just thought she liked it because it was pink and blue to go in her room. But I didn't think that it was anything that was really cute. It wasn't worth $250 to me. But I said, so, Day, if you had to buy this yourself with your own money, would you still want that cabinet for $250? She looked at me and she was like, yeah. I said, oh, you would have bought it with your money? She said, I didn't know I could. Yeah, I would have bought it. And so that's another thing when I know that they want something, because if you ask Dallas if he want to buy it with his own money, Dallas really mulls that thing over. He's like, that's not worth it. So it's but with me, it's always saying it's nothing. Do you want this? You know, this is nothing. Now, if there's something that's more expensive, like when I was talking today, I said, that's a lot of money. Like, is this something that you feel like you want? I try to give them an idea, especially in things that they like and things they love. That's another thing.
Yeah, teaching that was pretty dope. I watched you do that.
Yeah, it's like you see a lot of stuff you like and you be like, oh, and it's nothing to spend money on it. But do you love it? Because you about to give up this money. And so it really put things into perspective for Day. When we were walking around one day shopping, and she was picking up things. And one thing she said she wanted. So we're going through the store, and before we left, she was like, I don't want this. She was like, I like it, but I don't love it. And then she put it back. And that is one of the things that I think also helps them to be more practical about, like, am I just spending money to spend it?
She just learned that, though, because I remember when you taught her that, and I was just like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and Day takes a lesson, and she will run with that lesson immediately. And, yeah, she was like, I like it, but I don't love it. It's not necessary. And then, you know, when you put into perspective, is this something that I would want to spend my money on? It makes it a little
do you
different.
Remember how you taught her how to know? Like, we had to give her examples. Is this something that you're excited about wearing to school?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like, those are the things that you love. Like, oh, I can't wait to wear this. Like, you want to purchase those things. You don't want to buy something, you be like, I don't know when I'm going to wear it.
Because I think we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on here. I took her shopping with her cousin, and her cousin was buying stuff, and Dave was like, you know, she bought this ugly sweater about the store. It was like $15. And when I was asking them, oh, what did you get? And they're all showing me. When her cousin showed me what she liked, she was like, oh, I like this and I like that. And I said, Dave, what did you get? And she was like, oh, I just got a sweater. And so I was like, well, let me see the sweater. So she shows me the sweater, and I was like, oh, would you?
It was like she, the way that I didn't even see the sweater, but it was supposedly a sweater that maybe a seasoned lady in a library would wear.
Yes. Yeah. It was like a cardigan. It was a knit black cardigan. It wasn't.
Nothing special.
No. And I said, Day, is this really like, do you really like this? She was like, it's okay. So then we ended up going to a thrift store. I was having a conversation with one of their aunts about Day's style. She doesn't like clothes that you just get off a regular rack in the mall. She doesn't like to look like everybody else. And so that's what makes it really difficult for her in the mall. So she was like, take her to the thrift store because there's always something in there that other people don't have, whatever. So we end up going to the thrift store that day. And she found
some boots.
Yeah, a pair of boots, brand new for $16. And they're similar to like Jodeci boots kind of, but more modern. And then she found this red and black lumberjack jacket, with the Sherpa on the inside, and that was $12. And so she really liked it. So we're walking out, and I said, "Do you really like it?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wear this tomorrow." And I was like, "That cost less than that sweater you bought." And she was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Do you feel excited about wearing that sweater?" She was like, "Not really." I said, "Do you think we should take it back?" And she was like, "Yeah." And when we were in there and we took it back, I was like, "This is what I want you to remember, like how you felt." That's the type of stuff you want, because you can have a million things in your closet. I got a million things in my closet that I could wear. Not all of them am I excited about wearing. Mm-hmm. But
But I thought, like, I learned so much through that interaction because I used to shop for myself, like at a very young age. I remember maybe 4th or 5th grade walking to the mall. They was like, "Here's $50, maybe 40." But I used to just buy. I remember for school shopping, I would buy like 3 or 4 tank tops and then 3 or 4 shorts, and then go get like a lunch or something that I wouldn't be like a Chick-fil-A something. Oh, I can't do that. But yeah, that restaurant and. And I felt like I was maturing and whatnot. But if you look at my clothes, like I can tell you, it was so simple. It was just like red shirt, black shorts. And
that's how Dallas dressed now.
But I was dressing like that because things with designs and it was going to be more. And I was trying to increase the amount of clothes I could wear without wearing the same ones over and over.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's so crazy when you're in the mindset that people are watching you worry about the wrong things. And watching them and watching how you parent, it made me feel like my parents couldn't have known to say this, and a lot of the things that I ended up loving was because my friends love things. And I was like, oh, I guess that's what I'm supposed to love. And I'm like, them is cold. I got to get them,
At one point I was saying, shopping with Dallas, and I was saying, "Oh, it's nothing," and you said, "Maybe it's me." What were you gonna say?
So being poor, and when I say that, my parents got me out of asking for anything at a very young age. So I remember going over a friend's house and was like, "John, you hungry?" And I'm hungry as hell. And I'm like, no, thank you. They was like, "John, you're not gonna eat?" I was like, "No, I'm okay, but I'm hungry as hell." And it was like, "John, don't make me come fight you." And that's what I'm waiting for.
You wait for somebody to push you to the
push me to the point like, okay, I'll go get something.
I guess.
And I was always one of those kids that it was like, "Hey, y'all going to grab something to eat." I would never be the first one. And I remember when I was 16, my father used to brag about me a lot, right? And I remember my Uncle Mike, because I really got good grades. And I didn't get in trouble too much after after middle school. Like I was immature trouble before that, and then when I got to high school, I was different. And I remember my uncle was like, "Hey, I'm about to get a new car, and I got this truck. It's a stick though, and I was thinking about giving it to you." He's like, "You want it?" And I was like, "Man, no, I can't take your truck." And what kid don't want the truck? It had rims, it had the sound system. Like it was in Kansas. He was like, we'd have to make some arrangements, but I was like, "Man, I can't take your truck." And I felt like he knows the situation I'm in, right? He was like, "I'm giving it to you anyway." He didn't do that. To me, I felt like he didn't really want to give it to me. And when I say that, I know that if I said it to him now, he's like, "No, I was really going to give it to you." And I do believe that, but I felt like he was supposed to take control and say, "What are you going to drive then?"
Yeah.
You can't drive. Like your father, not like, what are you going to do? And I felt like even that, like even as an adult, I became one of those people. I can't accept things. Like I just recently, I don't know, somebody said, "Hey, do you want this?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And I was like, that was weird. And I was like, for real, because I don't want people to think like I'm begging. It's all like you begging. Like if you accept something, it's like, oh, you poor. And it's like, dang, am I still insecure as a child?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking like maybe some of my like when we get things now, we don't go out in the mall and buy things. We order it online, so they don't see us purchasing anything that we do like. So it's like, when do they get their things? In my mind, like, was their perspective of like maybe they don't like anything? And it was like I shouldn't ask them.
No, they've already talked about me in the closets, so I know that know I'm ridiculous.
They do, but they don't see you get it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a different element where your kids are worried about. Like, I mean, just think about this. How many shoes I've had in the past and it never rubbed off on them.
Yeah.
You know, they're different. And I don't know. So I guess that like maybe some of our practices, we don't know, but it's curving them from asking us, hey, I saw this new shirt and it's coming out and I would love to get it.
That don't sound nothing like them.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
Yeah. But, you know, I really do. I'm blessed that I married you in the sense of the parenting aspect, just one of the many things, but the parenting thing, you have broken me out of my shell and stopped being a hater. And when I say the hater aspect, it's more so, I don't know that I'm a hater. I'm like, they don't need that because I didn't get it. And I just told you this the other day, like I have to convince myself, like just because I didn't get it as a child does not mean that they don't need to get it. And if they want it, and we can do it. Because when I was a child, if I could have had it, I would have wanted it. So why am I preventing my kids from getting it? And the reason why I was telling you, like, why are you forcing things on them? Because like, it's almost like I needed you to be my uncle.
Oh yeah, I do the forcing. Come on.
You know you want it.
This will be fun. Go ahead, you want it.
Yeah, so it's like uncovering a layer of me that says I grew up without it and I think I'm fine. But what if they grew up with it and they can be better than fine?
Be like, look, I grew up with whoopings and look at me.
Oh my God.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Not everything that went on with us is always like what should go on with the next group. So
for sure. But is there anybody or anything that you want to like enlighten people on or give a shout out before we get out of here?
I just want to giggle about something real quick. So recently there was this guy I saw on Instagram and he went into the room. His daughter is on her phone. He came and he said, oh my God, how many text messages did you have this month? And she was like, what? He said, you're over your minutes. And she was like, minutes? He said, the phone bill is ridiculous. And she said, what is minutes? Wait, I don't understand. She was like, what is minutes? Why are we counting minutes? She said, I probably have a bunch of text. Why does that have anything to do with the phone bill? And I started laughing because I was thinking to myself, the things that we're restricted with, right? And so I remember the 7 o'clock cutoff. I remember the 9 o'clock cutoff. I remember you could call people that had your same phone company. You only had certain text messages. I think we talked earlier when you were in high school and you were living with your aunt and you had certain number of minutes of calls.
Ameritech gave us a certain amount of calls in a month.
Yeah.
And I had to pay.
Yeah.
Like we was always over the allotted amount.
Hey, and so it made me laugh because Day and Dallas are on a trip with their aunt.
Oh, shit.
They're on a cruise to the Bahamas. And so we've been texting since they left. They were in Florida. They got on the boat. They're like sending pictures and videos. The boat hadn't left yet. Well, the boat left. They're off in the ocean somewhere. And I get a phone call from Day. And, you know, we're on our cell phones or whatever. I was like, it's crazy because I'm grown. I can afford a long distance call, even though I haven't paid for a long distance call in forever. And it's my child, so I have to answer. But I literally paused because when I grew up, you did not answer a long distance call. Your parent had to answer and accept it. Right. And so I was like, oh my God, she's calling me like internationally. So I have to answer. Of course I answer. It's broken up. She was like, something's wrong with the internet. I couldn't text you. And I was like, oh, well, is everything okay? She was like, yeah, Aunt Dorothy's right here. And I'm sitting here like thinking something's wrong. Dorothy letting people call internationally. But, some people, they get international. It didn't cross my mind. And so I'm like, okay, so Day, what's going on? She was like, well, we couldn't text you. And so I just wanted to call. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, you're all right? And she was like, yeah. And so, yeah, I'm watching the phone. And there's like a delay in when she answers me, but she really doesn't want to talk about anything. And I was like, all right, Day, well, you guys enjoy yourselves. And we look forward to talking to you when you get back. And she was like, all right. And she said something else to me. And I was like, all right, I love you. And she said, I love you. Yeah, my phone went right to 1 minute and 59 seconds. Why was I trying to hurry up and hang up at 2 minutes? because I was like shook, transported back into childhood with long distance calls. And I was like, oh my God, this bill is going to be off the check. It was 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And regardless of what it is, I could afford it. But it's so funny that I flash back to that. But I tied those two together because I was laughing because we really did. Like, we had to watch how many text messages we had, how many minutes we used, who we were calling. Are these what are they called? Your top 5. Yeah. When your phone bill, you still let your phone company let you have top 5 people, you could call them all for free. And so I laugh thinking about how shook I was when she called, because I'm a parent. And of course I want to answer the call because I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Are you okay? And then I'm like, 13-year-old Kanika was like, can we accept this?
That's crazy.
But anyway, so that was all I wanted to share about that.
Well, I have another one that's going to make you laugh too.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, I don't really watch social media. But somebody sent this to me because this had something to do with the Matrix and programming or whatnot. And this kid had to be like 7. And the father was like, how do you know we're not in the Matrix? He said, oh, I know we're not in the Matrix. He said, how do you know? He got up and he smacked the hell out of his father. And then 2 seconds later, the father grabbed him and it cut off.
Oh my God. Like, look.
I was dying. I was like, you're not in the Matrix.
Hey, not at all.
Yeah, that was funny because he was like 7. And he was like, oh, I know we not in the Matrix.
Why does he know about the Matrix at 7? That's funny.
I don't know, but you should look, there was a pause and the father was like, yeah, but thank you guys for spending time with us. Make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.